There's over 300 monsters in Monster Hunter, which means there are some favourites, but it also means, well, not just not favourites, but ones that don't even get thought about at all. The forgotten monsters, and that's a shame because every monster, in its own way, is fantastic. Unless your chips are us. Okay, fine, the play dead and the flashing, and he is funny, okay, fine. So today, what I thought would be cool is to go over 5 monsters that I would label as the 5 most forgotten monsters in Monster Hunter. And to use one that I think Cotton will appreciate as an example...
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are.
That's the vibe we're going for here, though of course, Wilder Ambros is the only brute wyvern not in the 5th gen, which is very sad. I think he certainly would pop up a lot of times if you asked like 1,000 monster hunters to name as many monsters as they could until they ran out. And that's kind of the key here, because look, every single monster I talk about today, I know one of you watching this is going to be all like, I know that one! Haha, it's not forgotten, I know it, I of course knew it! And yeah, of course, with this many people and this much Monster Hunter fanness going on, yeah, I don't think there'll be a single monster possible that 100% would be like, oh yeah! But I do think there is a decent chance a decent lot of you will have a moment of, oh, yeah, that is it. I love that guy. I'd completely forgotten, but yeah, he's awesome. That kind of reaction, and we'll see how we do. So, with that said, then, in 5th place, it is... I will not be careful where I stand, and...
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, sorry.
Get up! Oh, sorry, I missed.
Okay, I'm here. Hypnocatrice. Oh, yes, indeed. This one, I think, is very justifiably forgotten in that it was only in a single mainline Monster Hunter game before it got ripped away to Frontier and never seen from again. Of course, with Espinas, Sunbreak, Frontier re-injected and definitely more in our minds, it might well be less forgotten than it used to be, but I do think a lot of people sleep on the sleep bird. And again, that's fair enough. It really is just a random low-tier bird wyvern in a single entry that you can easily pass over, hunt once, and then it kinda loses its place, and then it's done. And that's completely understandable, and I do think that very much puts it in the position of kind of forgotten. It's not like he's a bad monster, he's a very cool monster, but he's not particularly at any kind of extreme end of the spectrum, but he is notable for the Frontier connection, which is why he is in 5th place here. So there you have it. Coming up then, 4th and 3rd, it's really hard to split them because they're both very similar monsters, so we'll kind of just clump them together. Oh yes, the mouths with legs! Of course, a lot of people have a lot of love for these monsters, but I think by and large, and very much by Capcom, they've certainly been left by the wayside. Starting with Gobul, I mean, it makes sense. You can't really put him on land like you can just like Royal Ludroth and then just leave it a day, who cares about underwater, because it's kind of weird having a permanently land Gobul. He's also a low-tier monster that you hunt once and then kind of move on, and he doesn't really have a place in an end game, and of course he was only in 2 Monster Hunter games, so that already limits the amount of people that can experience him. He definitely is a monster that when I show you him, you go, oh yeah, Gobul, I love Gobul, what are you talking, I love Gobul. But that initial, oh yeah, Gobul, is why he's here, because I do think most people will have a, oh yeah, Gobul. How many times in this video can I go, oh yeah, Gobul? We'll find out. Oh yeah, Gobul, we will. And I really, really love him. I do. And I would love to see him again in the future. He is absolutely fascinating. A beautiful blend of deep sea horror that is unlike any other monster in the series. But I do think he finds himself kind of just faded into the background for a lot of hunters. Especially as the majority of Monster Hunter players started with World in the 5th gen, so have no real reason to even know of this guy's existence to begin with, but that applies to a lot of pre-5th gen monsters, but it certainly doesn't help, as it doesn't help Nibelsnarf! Definitely the winner of the award for best monster name, or at least in big contention. Him and his big old mouthful are definitely something that I think a lot of people, again, have that oh yeah reaction to. And he is kind of just Desert Gobul, big old mouth, and he has a really fun interaction where you can, of course, fish him out, lure him into a barrel bomb, and that's really sweet. But at the same time, again, low tier, unique, one-off monster that only appeared in very few games and has never really been thought about again. I would love so much for a future Monster Hunter game to give us a desert map and to give us Nibelsnarf. There's no real reason not to. He's really unique, right? Both visually and how he fights. His rainbow-colored belly is awesome, and generally his entire design is just fascinating. I think he would be a fantastic way to add variety to an early game lineup in any given new Monster Hunter game. Obviously, he's not a super endgame monster, but at the same time, he does stand out, but I don't think he stood out enough to not make it onto a list of forgotten monsters. And there we go, he is getting his due here. Then it's time for the monster where if you went, hey, you have to remove one monster from all of Monster Hunter to never be seen again, never be added again, deleted from all records and memory, which one would it be to make the least people sad? It would be Cephadrome! God, I hate this guy. In concept, he should be awesome. Literal land shark. That's great. But every encounter with him makes you want to punch a wall. Especially my first experience with him in Monster Hunter 1, where you spend 40 minutes chasing him around a fucking desert trying to get any damage at all into him, where the greatest threat is the quest timer and the janky controls.
You're timing out, not because your gear is too bad, and not because you're not playing aggressive, but because it's just underground for 45 out of 50 minutes. Like, I don't get it.
6.5 minutes.
Like, it's not like you've not been playing aggressively, it's just been underground.
Literally, it has spent probably half an hour of this quest timer.
We'll do walk towards it, we have limited time.
I don't know what's worse, the army of cats or the constant unavoidable heat exhaustion.
That sentence without context is a very interesting thing to ponder.
Is he actually gonna... He actually
is.
For God's sake!
Fuck me! We're actually gonna time out on this quest because he just digs and leaves zones! Like, there's fucking 5 minutes left and he's just going back and forth!
Oh, he's annoying! And the thing is, he didn't get better in his few entries past that when things got a lot smoother and he got a lot less runny. He just doesn't really leave an impression. There is much better sand swimmers, much better burrowers, much better monsters with small little versions that they command that they're the drome of, and I think it says a lot that when most people list Piscine Wyverns, they forget about Cephadrome's existence. They're like, yeah, there's just 4, 3, 4, right? Girafes, Plesioth, Levisioth, and, Peotodus, Iceborne, of course. And then it just ends. That happens basically every single time I ask someone to name me all the Piscine Wyverns, and I think that really speaks volumes. And look, is he irredeemable? Of course not. In a Monster Hunter 6, in a more modern gen game, giving him new life, yes, that would be interesting to see how they would do it, especially if they work the little ones in a little bit better. But as it stands right now, I mean, he is bland as the brown that he is made of. And that's all I have to say about that. For our most forgotten monster then, I think it's an interesting one in that it's actually a recent monster. Huh? Did that give it away? Great Girros, yes indeed. A world edition. And honestly, he's really cool, right? Like a paralysis snake monster, a fanged wyvern. He's really neat, and his Giroslings are neat too. But when the single greatest thing that has happened involving you is Cooler Glavenus slaughtering you and your entire pack as a badass intro, you know you've got a problem. The amount of people who just completely omit this guy. He's not a required hunt, he just kinda is there when you get to the Rotten Vale, and then you can immediately move on from his existence. Like, this one doesn't even get the Gobul Nibelsnarf. Oh yeah, I love those guys, obviously, yeah. Great Girros gets a, hey, you know you forgot about Great Girros, right?
Oh no. Anyway.
And it's just like, okay, I guess we're moving on from Great Girros. Dodo at least got to be, you know, like cute and memed and oh, don't hunt Dodo and look at him go, funny, silly, roly-poly boy. Great Jagras got the benefit of being the first large monster and of course greatest Jagras, and he's a lot of fun and everyone has a firm fondness for him, I think. But then you just have Great Girros, the kind of middle of the new trifecta of fanged wyverns that World brought along, and he just sort of exists vaguely in the background. And I do think it's a shame because, again, very cool monster, very cool armor, very cool color scheme, and a very cool concept, but it just didn't do enough, I think, to stick in the memory, and you have to be quite special to stick as a very early, small challenge, I should say, even if technically large monster, and I don't think Great Girros quite did it. So, yeah, a shame for him, but I think definitely he is the champion of forgotten monsters, and again, it is extra quite ironic because he is one of the most recent monsters in the grand scheme of things. So there we have it. Are there any you would change, any you think that are more forgotten, any that you just disagree with? Let's have the discussion, because damn, you guys discuss good. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Consider supporting the future of this channel on Patreon down below. And until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.